You know, I've been reading one of John Wesley's sermons, and honestly, it's left me in awe. It's called On the Omnipresence of God, and it's based on that powerful verse in Jeremiah 23:24 where God says, "Do not I fill heaven and earth?" Wesley really takes that verse seriously. He starts by helping us realize something we often forget, that our minds, being human and limited, can't fully wrap themselves around the idea of God being everywhere at once. We are finite, you know. We can only be in one place at a time, see one thing at a time, and think about one thing clearly in a given moment. So, trying to imagine someone who is present everywhere, all at once, in every part of creation, is something our small human understanding can barely touch. But Wesley says that's exactly what God is, fully present, not just in some places, not even just in most places, but everywhere. He reminds us of something David wrote in Psalm 139, which honestly captures this truth so beautifully. David said, "Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence?" It's like saying, where could I possibly hide from God? If I go up to heaven, He's there. If I make my bed in the depths, He's there too. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there His hand shall lead me. Wesley uses that to show that even when people think they're running from God, they're only running into Him. Because wherever they go, He already is. There's not a single spot, he says, either inside creation or beyond it, where God is not present. It's such a mind-stretching idea. Wesley actually pushes back against a kind of thinking that was common in his time, the idea of deism. Those were people who believed that yes, God created the world, but then He sort of stepped back and left it to run on its own, like someone winding up a clock and walking away. Wesley didn't agree with that at all. He believed that the Creator never abandoned His creation, that God didn't just make the world and forget about it. Instead, God's presence fills it constantly. His holiness and life flow through every part of it, spiritual and physical, visible and invisible. He's in the vastness of heaven, but also in the smallest details of the earth. That verse in Jeremiah 23 verse 24, "Do not I fill heaven and earth?" isn't just poetic to Wesley. It's literal. God fills it all. He doesn't just visit creation or look at it from afar. He pervades it. Wesley points to stories like Jonah's to make this real. Remember Jonah trying to run from God? He boarded a ship to flee from the Lord's command. But of course, he couldn't escape. The storm, the sea, the fish, all of it was part of the same presence he thought he could get away from. Wesley says that's the lesson. There's no place, no corner of existence, where the Creator is absent. And that thought, far from being scary, is actually a comfort for the faithful. Wesley says the people of faith celebrate God's omnipresence because it means He's not only transcendent, beyond all creation, but also immanent, deeply within it. God isn't a distant ruler somewhere far off. He's both high above and right here, surrounding and embracing every atom, every heartbeat, every moment of time. Wesley uses this wonderful little example that I can't stop thinking about. He says, imagine holding just a grain of sand in your hand. Now, compare that grain not only to a sand dune but to the entire stretch of space, all the stars, galaxies, planets, and everything that exists. That's how small even the whole universe is compared to God. It's like the millionth part of a grain of sand compared to all known space. Can you picture that? Even the universe, which feels infinite to us, is tiny and bounded next to God's limitless being. Every planet, every atom, every bit of energy is finite. But God, He's boundless. Time and space themselves are like drops in an endless ocean of divine presence. That's what Wesley means when he says time and space are transcended by the boundlessness of God. We measure things with distance and time, but God can't be measured like that. The one who created space can't be confined by it. The one who gave time its rhythm isn't trapped inside its ticking. The giver and measurer of space can't be measured by the things He made. Wesley says that no matter how you try to picture it, however vast or complex you imagine the cosmos to be, God is present at every single point in it, not just the big, obvious ones, the stars, the galaxies, the mountains, but the smallest specks of dust, the tiniest living creature, even the unseen corners of existence. He's with the sparrow that falls from the sky, as Jesus said in Matthew 10 verse 29, and He's also present in the deepest reaches of the oceans, and in the galaxies no telescope has ever reached. It's all filled with His presence. You know, when you think about that deeply, it really changes the way you see life. Wesley's not just talking about a theological concept here. He's describing a truth that can shape how we live. If God really fills heaven and earth, then He's not just watching us from far away. He's with us, always. When you're walking alone, God is there. When you're praying, He's already in that moment. When you're struggling, He's not arriving later. He's already there, holding you together. And Wesley wanted people to live in that awareness. For him, it wasn't enough just to say, yes, God is everywhere. He wanted believers to feel that truth, to live each day conscious of it. Because once you start to realize that every breath you take, every step you walk, every task you do happens in God's presence, you begin to see that nothing is ordinary. Every moment, every place, every relationship becomes holy ground. It's also humbling. Wesley knew that when people forget about God's presence, they start acting as though He's far away or uninterested. But when you know that God is near, closer, than your own heartbeat, it changes your choices. It brings a kind of reverence into everything. You start to notice that even the smallest acts of kindness, the simplest prayers, or even your thoughts are happening before His face. Wesley's picture of God's omnipresence isn't cold or abstract, it's warm and living. It's not that God is spread out thinly across the universe, like air filling space. It's that His entire being is fully present everywhere. You don't get a little bit of God here and another bit somewhere else. All of Him is everywhere at once. He's fully present in heaven, fully present on earth, fully present in your room, fully present in your heart. That's something only God could be. And think about this. When Wesley says there's no point of space where God is not, he also means there's no point in your life where God is not. Sometimes we feel like He's missing when things are dark or confusing. But that's just our perception. Wesley would say, no, He's right there too. Just as God fills the vast heavens, He fills your pain, your uncertainty, your silence. There's no place He doesn't fill. Wesley knew some people would struggle with that idea, especially the ones who preferred a more detached view of God. The deists of his time liked to imagine a God who was smart enough to design the world perfectly so He didn't have to be involved anymore. But Wesley thought that view robbed life of its meaning. What kind of creator would make such a vibrant, living world and then walk away from it? He believed, instead, that the same love and power that made the world also sustain it every single moment. God didn't just say, let there be, and then sit back. He keeps saying, let there be. Every sunrise, every heartbeat, every act of love is God continuing His creative work. When I think about that, it makes prayer feel different. Like, if God fills all things, then when I pray, I'm not calling out into some faraway sky. I'm speaking to the one who's already here, already listening, already acting. That's the kind of awareness Wesley wanted people to live in, a constant sense that you're walking in the presence of the eternal. It also gives peace. Imagine being in a situation where you feel completely alone, like Jonah in the belly of the fish, or David in the wilderness, and realizing that even there, God fills that space. Wesley points out that whether it's the deepest sea or the farthest star, God's presence is equally there. That means there's no place too dark, too far gone, or too small for God to reach. And you know what else is striking? Wesley never treats this as just an abstract theological argument. He turns it into devotion, into worship. Because if God fills everything, then everything is an opportunity to meet Him. The whole world becomes a temple. Every moment becomes a prayer. You don't have to wait till Sunday or step into a church to be in God's presence. You already are. You could be washing dishes, walking to work, sitting quietly, or helping someone in need, and you're still standing in the same divine presence that fills the heavens. Wesley really wanted people to feel that awe, that awareness, the thought that the Creator of all things the same one who hung the stars in space, also fills every moment of your life. He doesn't miss a single detail. Even the smallest creature or the smallest thought in your heart isn't outside His attention. That's what it means when Scripture says that not even a sparrow falls to the ground without your Father knowing it. Matthew 10:29. So when Wesley says, there is no point of space where God is not, He's really inviting us to live differently, to walk through life, knowing that we are never apart from Him, whether we feel it or not, whether we are in joy or sorrow, whether we are faithful or doubting. We are held within the same boundless presence that fills heaven and earth. And honestly, that realization that God's presence fills everything isn't meant to make us afraid, but to make us love Him more deeply, because it means He's not just watching over us, He's involved with us. He's sustaining us. Wesley would say He's the reason the world keeps spinning, the reason your lungs keep breathing, the reason your heart keeps beating. The more I think about what Wesley wrote, the more I realize that his vision of God's omnipresence isn't just about knowing where God is, it's about trusting that He's with us now. It's about resting in that truth until it becomes the air we breathe.